Just a little quick story about my life. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, home of the Arizona Wildcats. And growing up, I grew up in a Christian home. I accepted Christ at a young age, March 5th, 1991. I was about 5 years old, but I remember it. I remember every second. I remember where I knelt down with my dad to pray. I remember skipping around the house. After I did that, calling my grandparents, I was just so excited. You know, a lot of people say that it doesn't mean as much when you're that young because you can't really make that true decision, but that was a landmark for me, and it was awesome, and I'll always remember that. I grew up playing basketball. I love basketball, and I played all the time. God gave me the gift to shoot, and I've always been a good shooter. And so I got a college scholarship, a Division II school. I went to Western New Mexico, just a small little town in Silver City, New Mexico. And my faith had never really been tested until I got to that school. It was really tough for me. There were no Christians around, no believers, and so it was hard. And being an incoming freshman, there were three guys from Arizona that came there, and one of them was from Tucson, my hometown, and we were actually rivals growing up, and I didn't like him very much at all. We played against each other. I beat him all the time, so he probably didn't like me either. But as it grew on, we just became really good friends, and we lived together when I was a junior. And but we came from two different sides. He was not walking with the Lord, and but I loved hanging out with him. He was a great guy, and but I was kind of going down his path more, and the path of my teammates, and just getting into the worldly things, and was not taking a strong stand at all. And I believed in God, but I just wasn't taking that stand. I mean, I could look up at the sun, I could look up at the stars, and just know there was a God. I always believed in God, but I never was able to take a stand. I was never bold enough to really just take a stand and talk to people about it. And when graduation came, I was glad to be graduating. School never came easy for me, but I was glad to graduate. But looking back, I just didn't feel like I made a difference. And one of my friends, my best friend now from Tucson, who went to the school with me, I just feel like I never really got to share with him. And it just kind of broke my heart, because I was just, I just felt like I let God down. And I know I was going away, and he was going off to do some stuff with his degree. He was an athletic trainer, and so he was doing his own job and doing his own thing. And so I just, I didn't know if I would get a chance to share with him ever. But anyways, I graduated. We were going two different directions, and I ended up getting a call from Athletes in Action to go to Israel. And I was a little bit nervous about it, but I raised $4,000, and I was able to go. And that trip really changed my life. I mean, just walking where Jesus walked and seeing where he was born. He was born in a pile of crap, in a cave. And he was born there for us. And he's the God of the universe. And that just had such an impact on my life. And I remember one of the last days there. It was a 16-day tour. And one of the last days there, we were by the Sea of Galilee. And this is a story from the Bible when two demon-possessed men came up to Jesus. And the demons said, "What do you want from us, Lord?" And Jesus sent the demons into the pigs, and then they ran into the ocean. And that's where we were. And at that spot, there is a huge pile of rocks from former AIA tours that have gone there and other tours. And what those rocks represent, my coach, John Farwell, he said, if you have someone back at home who's not a Christian and you want to share with him, or who's not a believer in Jesus, you want to go back and share with him, we want you to say their name and put a rock there for that person. So, of course, I thought of my friend Casey, and I put a rock there. And I said I was going to pray for him for 40 days. And another friend of mine on the tour also said he was going to pray for Casey for 40 days. I didn't know what would happen. Again, I didn't have that boldness to just go out and share. And so anyways, trip was over. I went home and I started praying. Every day I prayed 40 days. My friend would call me, just seeing how it was going. I just say, yeah, I'm praying for him. He was praying for him. And, I don't really know what happened. All of a sudden, he just, we'd still hang out. He just kind of asked me a question, how my trip was. And, that was just kind of it was awesome. It was awesome for him to ask me that. And I kind of told him about the trip. And so anyways, and then a little while later, I invited him to go to church. And he came to church with me a couple times. And during the church service, the pastor invited, if anyone wants to raise their hand to accept Jesus into their life, you can do that. And he did that on that day. And a little while after that, I don't know why he did that, or if that really, praying a prayer doesn't necessarily cause you to have a personal relationship with Jesus. But he did that, and I don't really know what that meant to him. But he, a little while later, he was doing his own business, doing his own thing. He got a call from AIA2 to possibly go to Israel. And I didn't think he would go at all. He had a good job. He was getting paid pretty good for someone who was just out of college. And I did not think he would go. But he wanted to go, and he thought it would be a basketball tour. Thought it'd be pretty much all about basketball. And so he raised the money, and he went. And he stood in that exact place where I set that rock. And that touched me so much, because it was something I prayed about, and it just showed me how alive God is when we pray. And so that was awesome for me. And it was awesome to see my best friend just totally change, and how much he's come to the Lord. And now he's even a good influence on me. And so I'd like to invite my best friend Casey up here. He's going to share a little bit about his story with you guys.